So I sat down and realized in 2018 when I came to China, what are some of the challenges I was facing?
Mm,
One, how to make money as a student. In
mm,
China, as a student, you are not allowed to work
right.
legally.
Mm,
How can you make money legally in China as a student?
right.
These are some of the answers I needed during that time. And I was like, oh, after all, I've lived here for several years, and with the little experience I have, why don't I share to others?
Yeah. Today I'm joined with a medical student, a YouTuber, and an entrepreneur who's living the hustle life in China, from balancing, intense lab work to educating, edifying, and even entertaining through his YouTube channel. He's a living example of how to balance ambition and reality. Plus, he's mastered the art of turning living in China into a business opportunity. Welcome to the show, Daks. Welcome. That's been like forever since we wanted to have a chat on this
Yeah.
platform.
Yeah, indeed. In fact, sometimes life keeps us so busy, but
Mm-mm.
I'm glad to be on this great platform finally,
Sure.
and I'm highly honored to be invited to be on this podcast.
I am delighted to have you here because I think great minds usually have something to share with the world, and I believe there's something you can help someone somewhere. Especially we as young people, when we are trying to find life, we are trying to figure out life. When we get people with ideas, and then when we share them, I think more people get to learn from us, and we get to learn from them. And so I think
Exactly.
that's a powerful way to do. I think that to kickstart, maybe you can introduce yourself, because I might have a clue of who Dax is, since we have known each other now for some months, if not
Yeah.
almost a year. But yeah, so you can introduce yourself, and yeah, we can roll from there.
Yeah. So to your viewers who are watching, I'm known as Daks and I'm from Ghana. I've lived in China for over 6 good years now. We're in
Mm.
2025, so this will be my 7th year in China.
Yeah.
I did my bachelor in China, and I'm currently a master's student in pharmaceutics.
Mm.
Aside school, I do business as well, and I'm a content creator as well. I'm a YouTuber as well. Yeah, I think basically that is all about me.
Interesting. All about you. You make it simple, but Dax is a big guy. He's a guy trying to win it here in China. And yeah, he shows the aspect of resilience and never giving up. And that's what I like about Dax. And you mentioned that, things about content creation. You mentioned about being a pharmaceutical student. And I know this, like, because most of the times, since the time we wanted to do the podcast,
Yeah,
lab work has been on your neck and all
yeah,
that. And so I'm curious to know how do you balance like studies and content creation? How do you like do it? Do you have any practical tips for time management? And even how do you find even motivation? You
yeah,
face challenges and all that. So I just want to know, how do you balance your studentship and content creation? How do you do it?
yeah. Wow, that is such a great question. In fact, every time I always get such question from my friends, my
Mm,
classmates. They be like, "Dax, are you really doing your masters? Like, are you really doing lab work? Like,
mm,
because every time they see me uploading videos, different videos, at the
yeah.
same time I still go to lab, so they don't know how I balance things and stuff. Yeah, but first of all, with content creation, it all started where I realized from research, I realized that the world is changing,
Yeah.
and now we are in a modern world of content creation.
Right.
As Charles Darwin said, it's not about the strongest species, whether you are strong,
Mm,
beautiful, or what. It is about the one who is able to adapt to change. So,
yep.
me growing up, I've been a bookworm going to school and stuff. But it got to the point where I realized during COVID time that no, the world of being a doctor, a pharmacist will come to an end. Now there's AI everywhere. You get
Mm,
it? So you need to adjust yourself. You need to adapt so that you can fit in that environment.
Yep.
So that is where the idea of content creation came in. And combining content creation with school wasn't very easy at the beginning. It was really very hard. But
Yep.
how did I manage it? At the beginning with content creation, I realized that I was making content that I do not really enjoy. I was making content that others are making. For example, with YouTube, I wanted to make videos that people have already getting views. What are the videos people are making in China, other YouTubers?
Yeah.
These are the kind of videos I wanted to make. But ideally, those were not the videos I really enjoy making. So at the beginning, it was really, really very hard. And at the beginning, I was really chasing views, subscribers, and money. Oh, YouTube, you get money. So,
Yep.
so desperate for that. So it got to a time I was really low, burnout, because every time I want to make this video, I'll see this video. I want to make the same video. I just want to copy people.
Yep.
So I realized that imitation is a limitation. Anytime you try to imitate someone, indirectly you limit yourself. So just be you. You are powerful when you are you. So it got to a time I sat down and I asked myself, what are the kind of videos I really want to make? These are the questions I asked myself. What are the kind of videos I really want to make? What value is those videos providing?
Yeah.
So I sat down and realized in 2018 when I came to China, what are some of the challenges I was facing? One, how to make money as a student. In China, as a student, you are not allowed to work legally. How can you make money legally in China as a student?
Right.
These are some of the answers I needed during that time. And I was like, oh, after all, I've lived here for several years, and with the little experience I have, why don't I share to others?
Yeah.
So in summary, my idea was to provide value to people, solutions to people, solve people's challenges.
Right.
And when I started making those videos, I really enjoyed them. Because after making a video, somebody would text me and say, Daks, because of this video, I've been able to start this. Because of this video, I've been able to do this. So in the nutshell, it really motivates you to make more videos.
Yeah.
So it came to a point where I said, the main aim is not to get so much views. I'm not saying I don't want so much views, but the main aim is, even if I'll get one person to watch my video and like, that is enough. It has created some impact.
Yeah.
So combining schoolwork and content creation is not easy. What I will say is, first of all, you need to do what you love. Make videos you love. For example, footballers, they can play ball for 90 minutes and they will still want to play more.
Right.
If you just go and head the ball within a second, you'll be tired because they love that. So if you start making videos that you really love to make, trust me, with time, so far as you are not giving up, you really grow that platform.
Right. Finding something that you really like, and then at least use that to make the videos of the content that you want. And then in this manner, I think what you're able to then balance what time will you make the videos, the energy that you'll put into making the videos, which means in return you'll be able to balance also with your schoolwork and all that. That's nice. That's nice. And I think over the years you have faced let's say you have lacked motivation, you have faced challenges and all that, but you have constantly, I guess, used the you know, that original motive of why I want to make these videos, or why do I continue doing this, entrepreneurship, side hustles and all that. And I'm wondering, I think the essential thing that you have been doing is time management, as I'm understanding from you, because for you to be able to do school and do this content creation, and then as well do the side hustles, you may trying to you do the logistics and all that to your country, to Ghana, and to maybe to the other different countries. And so I'm wondering, what are some of your practical tips, like for time management, especially like we young people, we have that I cannot speak for all people, but I'll generally say we have that aspect of where we envision big things, but yet we are not ready to invest the time, the energy, the effort into going for those goals. And so I think time management played a critical role in you doing what you do, all the things that you do. And so what maybe are your practical tips for time management? I can say time management and maybe motivation and all that.
Yeah, so thank you very much for that question. It got to a time I realized that the most greatest asset on earth is not gold, it's not diamond, but it's time.
Yep.
Time. So you need to first of all know your end goal.
True.
If you don't know where you want to go to, you just take any way, any platform. So for me, I know the end goal and where I want to reach. So I look at what are the things that can really help me to reach where I want to. So that is one.
Yeah.
And two, you need to sacrifice a lot. If you know your end goal, there are some things you have to sacrifice.
Yeah.
For example, most of the time there will be programs outside. Some of my friends will be attending. I have to sacrifice because I have to edit videos. Yeah, so sometimes you have to let go of certain things.
Yeah.
That is one. And with the time management, for example, every 8:30 a.m. I have to be in the lab. In the lab, sometimes you can't hold your phone, you can't do anything. But what really helps me is with the content creation, whenever I'm stressed out of lab work, when I make videos, I get release.
Yeah.
It energizes me. So I always arrange, weekends, I'll be shooting videos. The next Sunday, I'll be editing videos.
Yeah.
School days, I'll be in the lab. Sometimes when I'm in the lab, I'm not working, I'm editing my videos.
Yeah.
So it has to be sacrificed so much. And with that sacrifice, you can be really time conscious with the things you do. Right. And one thing that really helps me is making sure that everything is an asset. Me being in China, coming from a developing country, Ghana, I realized that we have free internet in China.
Right.
So I always know that if I don't utilize this time, there might be a time that you might not get this anymore. So these are some of the basic things that really help me. And with content creation, it got to a time, to be frank with you, it wasn't easy.
Right.
It wasn't easy editing videos because it really takes much of my time. So what I did was to outsource people to help me edit my videos.
Yeah.
So all I have to do is to shoot the videos and others will edit the videos. So if you want to combine these things, it was very hard for me to outsource my work. I always thought I could do everything. It's never possible. It's never possible. It's good to build systems that will help you do the things you love, and the things you don't love, you get others to do. For example, me, I don't like editing videos. I don't love editing videos. But there are some people, they love editing videos. When they edit video, they become so happy. Like, that is what they love doing.
Yeah.
So I study the things I really love, and the things I have to do, and the things I can outsource others to do. Yeah, and I know that comes with investment too as well.
Right.
Paying others to edit your videos.
Right.
It's very simple. You just have to check orders in other countries where their currency is very low. For example, in India, if you give somebody $5, that is a little bit more. But if you give somebody in US $5, that is nothing. So in outsourcing, you can get people in other parts of the world where you can pay them cheaper and they will do the work efficient, faster, and good for you. So some of the videos, most of the time, sometimes I have editors who help me with editing and also thumbnails and stuffs. It's not easy building systems at the beginning. That is also very hard. But if you are able to build systems, just like KFC, everywhere they have that system, so they can start. You go to Ghana and you eat the same taste of KFC. Different countries the same way. So building systems will also help you manage your time efficiently. You cannot do it all alone. Trust me, you need teamwork.
You need teams. It's powerful. It's interesting that, you know, if you having just an objective is one, but also being able to sacrifice other things for you reach your objective is another critical thing, and as well having the system to support you on the way towards this goal is what another trick to having time management and achieving the objective that you initially had. And I think this brings me to the thought about the reality of you know, our life in China, the reality of living in China. I mean, you make initially you were making content, and I mean until now you still make content about different parts of China, activities that you attend. You try to tell a story about it, and so I'm curious to know what really surprised you about, you know, life in China.
For being in China, what really surprised me is my first time. I can't believe a population of 1 billion. Life is so easy and life is so convenient in terms of transportation, delivery, social amenities. So easy as compared to a country of 32 million, Ghana. Yes, 32 million. But sadly, China with this population, life is so easy and convenient for them. That really surprised me during my first days coming to China. And I sat down, like, I can't believe the infrastructure, like the modern infrastructures that they have here. It takes several years to construct a simple hospital in Ghana. But in China, if you travel to villages in China and you see their roads, their schools and stuffs, I was like, wow.
You are shocked.
Yeah, that really shocked me every time. And I can't wait to see Ghana also reaching that far. In fact, that is one of the most.
You'll be the catalyst of helping Ghana reach that far. So we can't wait for you to help. We can't wait for you to help Ghana to reach where China is. And I'm curious also to add on to that. What's been maybe challenging all the time here, because you there are things that surprise you, you know, when you get here, and then there's something that you love here already so much, but there's also things that have been challenging and all that. And so, like, for on the light of someone curious about life in China, what would you say has been challenging to your 7 years almost here in China?
Thank you very much for this question. I think this is very important. We mostly talk about how we enjoy and we ignore the negatives. And my early days, one thing I never liked about China is their weather condition. When I arrived early, it was very cold for me. I don't like cold areas. Winter, I don't like it at all. So that is one thing and this is something I cannot do anything to change it about winter and stuff. That is one. Two was the language barrier. In
Right.
fact, at the beginning, I nearly gave up. Chinese language was so difficult to me. Like, I was just in a mess. And I have several friends who couldn't make it, who has left China because of this language
difficulty
issue.
of the language.
Yes. It was very difficult for me at the beginning. So anybody who is trying to come to China, you should expect that at the early days it will be very challenging, but it's all about the mindset.
Yeah.
Believe it that if some of us have been able to manage to go through and can speak little Chinese, you can also make it.
They can also do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is whether language. And the next thing about China that I don't like,
because for the years that I've also been here, when I came, I think that trouble that you get when you just get to this country, the first trouble, the Chinese, the language, the system is totally different from probably what you're used to and all that. And the thing in the beginning, that saying of like the beginning is always difficult, and always that really applies to a foreigner coming to China, especially if you don't know Chinese, you haven't learned Chinese language and all that. Life will always seem to be very difficult in the beginning, but the reward that is at the end, I think it's so great than the difficulty that was there initially, because after some time, when you learn, especially to like that Chinese saying of to do what the Romans do when you're in Rome. So when you you begin to adopt to the lifestyle of here, you'll find life is very easy, and especially you as a foreigner just being here.
Yes,
it's unlimited. It's unlimited to what you can achieve. But I mean, challenges will continue being there, but you can also the challenges can be outweighed by the
advantages.
Yeah.
In fact, with what you just mentioned, just reminded me that is why we have these platforms like this podcast that we are having, to help educate so many people who are thinking of coming to China, who are doubting whether they should come to China and all those stuffs. I think most of us at the beginning didn't have people to guide us, to encourage us, give us hope that we can make it. And it's because of that so many people are so disappointed in China and they have left and stuff. So I'm glad you have this platform which is educating others.
Yeah. When you're here in the initial stages of life here, it may seem so difficult, but it doesn't matter. You're here for study, work, or even personal business. If you are able to jump that line, then I guess you can celebrate at the end. You can also tell us how it has been, how it becomes so sweet. And difficulties are there. I mean, even in my country, just me living in my country, difficulties are there. They don't finish. They don't end. If we talk about, let's say, the systems, not even in my country, there are some things I don't like, but those are, there are things that you can live with. And I'm curious to know, on the entrepreneurship and the side hustle thing, because you have been doing it for some time. How did you, let's say right now, you came up with that idea, the model of using your YouTube channel, let's say, to promote import-export business. Most people do import-export, and foreigners, they have their ways, and you chose that this is a good idea. I will also promote it via my social media channels and all that. Right, and it's like you make story, you try to tell stories, and at the same time, advertise Chinese businesses and all that to global audience. And I'm curious, how did you get started in this business of connecting people with manufacturers in China? Like, how did it come along? Because the idea of content creation came along as I want to do something that create something that I would like, that I would enjoy, and as well provide value to the society. How about this side of now? Okay, I'm going to connect manufacturers and people all over the world. How did this idea come about?
Yeah, that's a very great question, and I think this will really help so many people, especially students living in China.
Right.
Yeah, for me personally, growing up, my mother is a trader. So with the business idea, I grew up with it. I love business.
Yeah.
Before even me coming to China, I used to import from China to Ghana from an app called Kiku. I don't know, in Tanzania, I think
Kiku,
you have.
Kiku, yeah.
Kiku. Yeah. That was the early days. That is in 2017-18.
Yeah.
I made my first order from China to Ghana through Kiku. I advise some of my friends to also buy. We had some wedding ceremony to buy this suit from this app. They were afraid, they were scared. What if somebody scam my money? If I don't get the money, who are you going to ask?
Think so much about that thing, especially in our countries.
Exactly.
When it comes to Kiku and Jumia and all that.
Exactly. So I took the risk. I bought the suit. It came. I was like, what? Okay. And it was more cheaper than those who sell in Ghana. Okay, I was like, okay, that is where the business starts. So I used to buy things from the app and sell to my friends who are afraid to take the risk.
Good idea.
Before me coming to China, I knew things are so cheap in China. So I heard that iPhones are assembled in China. So when I was coming to China, I was very happy because I was now coming to meet the suppliers, the manufacturers.
You're coming to the factory.
I came to China. I asked for the price of iPhone, and it was more expensive than in Ghana. And I was confused all of a sudden. What is happening? Didn't you say iPhones are assembled in China?
Yeah.
How possible that is not expensive as compared to buying it in Ghana? Yeah. So I got confused at the early days, and I was like, then there's more for me to know.
Yeah.
So I started my research, and through research, I realized if you are not good at Chinese, you can't. So I knew that I have to take Chinese language so serious. And in fact, I'd like to tell your viewers, language barrier. When they talk about language barrier, in fact, it's really a barrier. If you are able to speak somebody's language, you break those barriers.
Yep.
So through that, I started making friends who are into the business niche and finding out about production factories. Sadly, we don't have so many factories in Ghana. So I'm always curious about how is it possible that China have over 1 billion factories? Every production in China. Growing up, I literally saw everything made in China.
Made in China, yeah.
So me coming to China, I saw that as a great opportunity to understand why everything is literally made in China.
Right.
How can we also have made in Ghana and those things? So with the business mindset, for me, it started early on. Before coming to China, I was even doing the importation.
Yeah.
So when I came, I started business with my friends, those who knew me. I used to ship things to them, people who sell back in Ghana. Then I tell them, this is China. I start searching for factories. For example, I know somebody who sells these products. I search for a factory which manufacture these kind of products. I get the price list, their MOQ, like minimum order quantity. Then I search the logistics. How much are they supposed to pay for shipping? Then you have to know your exchange rate. So I calculate everything into detail. Then I tell those back in my country, oh, I have this product. This is the amount after it has reached in Ghana. Are you interested? Some of them, because of trust issue, they'll just give you a little amount, you buy. Then, they'll see, the products are quality, this. Then they start beginning building trust in you. And that is where I started building so much audience.
Mm.
So I've been doing this, let me say, privately, secretly, without social media.
Yeah.
So I started YouTube mainly to educate, entertain, and edify the world about the modern China.
Right.
So when I started making those videos, through my research, I realized so many people are living outside China and they are teaching others how to import from China.
Right.
And I was like, what? Why
Yeah.
would somebody who cannot speak Chinese be teaching others how to import from China?
Right.
That is supposed to be my duty, not them. So I was like, oh, I have to start another channel. So I started another channel mainly about business. And that is where I have the niche. And I said, okay, cool. I started making those videos. I was like, wow, interesting. That is where I was getting more audience. In fact, that channel has really grown so fast, more than my first channel.
Yeah.
And the impact and the networking that I've gotten from that channel, you won't believe it.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful.
So the idea of this business and this is how it started from. And for me, I know our audience who like to start business. If you are in China, in fact, don't live in China without doing business.
True.
China is a business hub in the world, the largest exporter in the world now. And there are so many factories who are looking for buyers. So many factories who are looking for foreigners living in China who can be their agents, representatives in your country. Even if it's your country, your city. Start business now.
Powerful. I see. You're motivating people to start business now, and it's important because some people have never even had a thought of doing business in China. But you're advising that you have shown that just a little seed, it can bring about a big outcome. And we shouldn't only expect like big ideas and all that. Exactly. Probably we won't all be in Silicon Valley, but we can start where we are. We can start in the valleys where we are. And I'm curious, you just mentioned that China became the largest exporter. China is the largest exporter, I mean, to many countries, probably by volume. And I'm curious to know, what does, in your thoughts, what makes China a great place for entrepreneurial endeavors in your idea? Like, because we have been students here, we are running businesses here, and somehow we see how China is suitable for entrepreneurial endeavors. So I want to know your take on what makes China great for entrepreneurship.
Yeah, so with China, first of all, they have cheap labor. That cheap labor really favors them in production. So production is very fast. And it's due to that they had several investors around 1956 or is it 79 or so, when they brought this market reform. There was a new policy, market reform. They had so many investors because of cheap labor. And through that, indirectly, the natives learned from these great investors from America, Germany, from these great nations who invested in China. They were thinking they are taking advantage of the cheap labor, but indirectly, they were training them to be skilled and masters in production. Yeah. So as a result of that, so many investors left or are leaving because of new policies, and now living expenses is going high. So with the cheap labor, it has really helped so many investors to invest in China. And due to that, we have so many factories in China.
Right.
Even products made for Americans, American factories in China. Right. That is why you cannot have big factories or companies without their branch in China. Look at Tesla. Immediately, the great Tesla had to have another branch in China.
Right.
because of the cheap labor. I think that really, really favors them. And two, they are hardworking.
Yeah.
One thing I really love about Chinese is so hardworking. Because if you talk about cheap labor because of population, then one may ask, how about India?
Yeah.
How about Indonesia? How about Nigeria? Their population is so high.
Yep.
But why is it that still China still rules over them in terms of all these factors? And I think naturally they are so hardworking, and the Chinese are so determined to change their lives.
Right.
Yes, so I think these two factors are really helpful. And the next factor why you should start business in China is because there's a very big gap between China and the other world. One is language. You can see a Chinese who has studied English his whole life but cannot still speak English.
Right.
So you as a foreigner, you are there to represent them. You are there to be a translator. You are there. There are so many factors, so many opportunities for you as a foreigner for this business, any kind of business, being translator, selling products. And I don't know, those who have lived in China before, if you have not lived in China, Chinese are always surprised when you tell them only you sat in an airplane to travel from your country to this place. You get it? So it's mostly difficult for most of them to leave their country. So they love foreigners, especially students we living in China who understand their culture, to send their business, their products to your country. So with these basic factors, I think China is a very great platform where everyone can start business.
Right. You know, the aspect of hardworking for the Chinese. It usually some foreigners have not been really receptive to the concept of Chinese are hardworking, and they haven't been very, how can we say, we haven't been very adoptive, because then if we were able to adopt the mindset, the hardworking mindset, then adding it to the exposure that we have already got, I think most people would definitely succeed in this entrepreneurship landscape here in China, because there are many opportunities. And if you just dedicate yourself to be hardworking as Chinese in the ideas that you have, then there's a potential of you succeeding and even becoming a pioneer, let's say even relatively to in your country. Because there are some things that already in China, but they are not in our countries, right? And so if you're able to, let's say, invest your time, energy into, if not replicating, at least adopting these things and modifying them to become to suit the local economy in our country, local market needs and customer needs, then you're able to succeed, because we are like in a class, we're in a classroom, and at the same time we're in a classroom, and we have access to a laboratory and a workstation, and so we are able to take an idea and try to implement it as well. And I think that the other idea that I think you didn't mention is that, let's say for some people trying to do trying to open companies, trying to do what, there's usually in China there's like opportunity where the government tries to so much open up to say, okay, if you're an international person and you want to start a business, and that business is they know it's profitable to the country, they will definitely be able to somehow give you some incentives. And that's the biggest thing that people still experts talk about when it comes to Chinese electric cars versus the electric cars from the world, from the other parts of the world. The Chinese electric manufacturers have had incentives for years, and that's why they succeed at what they're doing. And so it's a good idea that if you're in China, try to adopt a certain mindset, try to be hardworking, but also be open to opportunities and learn the language. And I think that the last thing that I want us to think about is it's a moment of, like, I want us to think about reflection. Let's do a personal growth reflection. You see, if you could, let's say, just leave my listeners, the listeners of the SelfSeed podcast, the young person listening from some part of the world, they're listening to this podcast right now. If you were to leave them with one piece of advice for chasing, let's say, their dreams while they are managing the reality, what would that advice be? Because many people want to chase their dreams, but somehow we tend to overlook the reality. And you, who is trying to get to you said initially you know where you want to go, you know the end goal, and so you towards this end goal, there's a way that you also accommodate the reality. And what would be the advice to someone listening to the podcast?
Thank you very much for this opportunity accorded me to be on this platform to share my experience. I hope it impacts someone.
I also hope so.
My last words will be: dream big. You can never rise beyond your mindset. That is
interesting. Interesting. A philosopher, Daks, said, "Dream big, because you can never rise beyond where your mindset has allowed you to dream." So, if you dream big, then you can get there. But if you dream less, small, tiny dreams, and then I guess you will be limited. Today afternoon, I just came across a Tanzanian guy. Before, I didn't know like Teslas were, in Tanzania already. And recently, I just took, not recently, this afternoon, I saw a clip of one guy. What's his name? I forgot his name. But anyway, this guy has experience because he worked, I think, for Tesla before in the United States. And he discovered that the challenge in Tanzania is electricity, right? Probably in the developing world, electricity. And so people cannot buy electric cars, although they have the purchasing power, but they cannot buy these electric cars because of the challenge of electricity. And you know what he did? He just designed the charging station of the electric vehicles, those meters, those boxes, and he just designed that and he made it. And the only thing you have to do is he figured like Tanzanian shillings 14,000 can give you the equivalent of 500 kilometers. And 500 kilometers in the city, you can live with that. That car can be used, maybe, let's say, for the whole week. But you cannot get gas. You cannot get, now we have compressed natural gas, and we also have petrol, the usual diesel petrol. But you cannot get the same 14,000. You cannot get
those gas
amount that will take you 500 kilometers. And so he thought that, just designing a meter, the charging station, where you are able to just, I think, top up for the same price. And it means you can use your car even if electricity is not there. Maybe after 3 days, you can still use your car.
Wow.
And it's cheaper cost to pay for the electricity compared to paying for gas. And I was astonished, actually. And he actually makes the meters here in China. He makes the charging stations here in China. He just designed them, and then they outsource them to China. And so I work with you on the same mindset that that saying of we believers, we say there's nothing impossible with God. As well, I might say manufacturing, there's nothing impossible in China in terms of manufacturing. You have an idea, a prototype, a minimum viable product can be created in China, and you can test your ideas and all that at an affordable cost. And so I think because I've also seen many American founders, other Western founders, whenever they design their prototype, they outsource the manufacturing to China. And so it shows that if you are in China, success is on your hand, isn't it?
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Daks, for being on the podcast today. And I hope to someone listening, if they listen this far, then they probably got an insight of at least a business idea that they can do. Oh, talking about business idea, do you think you have now, like, let's say, maybe 3 quick business ideas you think someone could, try and do from China in 2025?
Yes. One would be content creation. The world is so curious, and I can't believe how China has advanced in so many aspects. And people will love you to educate them, edify them about the modern China.
Right.
That is one. Two is in the business niche, there are so many in the business niche.
Just
what I would say is you don't have to have money.
Yep.
What prevents so many people, especially students in China, is they always think you need to have money before you can start business. You don't need money to start business. That is the second one. You don't need money to start business.
Right.
And the third one is logistics. You know, logistics is one of the things that nothing can really affect it.
Yeah.
AI, it will be very difficult for AI to really replace logistics. Even during COVID time.
Yeah.
Face masks, nose masks were transported everywhere. Medicines everywhere. So these three things, I think.
Thank you for adding to that, because I'm saying thank you, because when you think about it, I like the second part where you say money is not the real reason as to why we cannot go into, as young people, we cannot go into entrepreneurship, but I think it's that lack of the spirit to dare, because let's say me with my brand, I did not start with money. I didn't have that much money. I just had my savings that I get, let's say 100 renminbi per month. And I just used, let's say, I remember the first money that I used was 42 yuan. I used to buy a gym bag.
Wow.
And from that to now where I am, when I look back, I'm like, in American dollars, it was probably, let's say, $6 by then.
Yes, $6.
And now I'm like thousands of dollars and all that worth in the business. And so I think it's not about money. It's about having the idea and then taking the initiative. Because most people have ideas, but how do they say?
How to start.
Executing is hard. The execution is hard. And so thank you very much, my man. Thank you for being on the podcast today. And to the listener, I hope you got something. And be sure to check the YouTube channels of Daks, because he has more than one. Hey, Daks, maybe before I say totally goodbye, you can mention your YouTube channels so people can check them out.
Yeah, so lastly, I would like to once more appreciate the invite and being on this great platform, and I hope to be on this platform again in the future.
Of course.
Yes, I have 3 YouTube channels. The first one is Daks Spam, and this channel is all about educating, entertaining, and edifying the world about the modern China. My second channel is Daks Import and Export Trading, and this channel is all about business related. Anything about importing or exporting from China. You will learn from that platform. And the next is Campus Life in China, and that channel is currently there to help people from developing countries who want to study in China with scholarship without using an agent. Yeah.
Powerful, Dax. Powerful. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep growing. Keep breaking the records and all that. And may God be with you. Thank you for being on the podcast today. And to everyone, thank you for tuning in. Until next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.